Everyone. I'm on my third demo for you today. So we're working a lot with eggs, and actually I've got one more after this. We're going to work with eggs again, but I wanted to go more towards what a lot of people enjoy at breakfast, and that would be pancakes, waffles, pancakes of course in all flavors, banana, blueberry, apple. There's also Dutch pancakes and so on. Waffles, chocolate waffles, Belgian waffles. So, but I'm going to do crepes or crepes, whatever, however good your French is. And the key to when you want to do a crepe is to make sure the batter rests for a little while. And in the batter is only milk and sugar, flour, and egg. So very simple, right? A little salt in here too. So you can see the consistency of this batter, very runny. The key to a good crepe is to have very thin. Now I'm using a non-stick pan, so I'm going to add some butter because I want that browning effect that the butter is going to give us, the fat's going to give us. I would suggest butter on this. A lot of your recipes you'll see ask for clarified butter. Remember what clarified butter is? The butter that's been put on a stovetop and it separates into the milk solids, water, and then just the butter fat. And we do that so that when we use clarified butter, we don't have as high a smoke point, or a higher smoke point, sorry, and we can use it without worrying about it burning. So we're going to take about a half a ladle of batter, and I'm going to pour it in, and as soon as I pour it in, I'm going to swirl it. And I'm going to spread it all through the pan as thin as possible and let it start to cook down. So a lot of times there are specialty crepe pans. They have cast iron crepe pans. They have metal crepe pans. I'm using the same pan, you notice, for all of my demos today. So the non-stick is probably essential. But once you get a crepe pan working, and you adjust your temperature perfectly, then you shouldn't have a problem with your pan. They usually say that you probably want to make one or two first, and you might have to throw them away. But in this case, it looks like our first one is going to come out all right. I'm going to make sure that I try and get a little brown on this. Again, as I say, it's a non-stick pan. But I'm also loosening the edges on this. And traditionally we would use a spatula to flip this. Again, I have a rubber spatula here, or plastic, I think. And if you were really good, and I'm not going to try and demonstrate this, but you probably could flip it in one. I don't know, maybe I'll try and demonstrate it. We'll see. So I'm leaving it here long enough, kind of like with pancakes. You know that they're starting to be done when you see some bubbling in the middle, and then you are safe to turn it. You know, talking about pancakes, some people like different thicknesses. I like a pancake rather than a flapjack. Flapjack I think of as the flatter one, whereas a pancake might rise up, you know, a 1/4 inch or so. So I'm going to take a look at the bottom of this. It's still not where I want it. Maybe what I'll do is turn up a little bit of heat on it and try and get that browning reaction, that Maillard reaction in the flour and the sugar. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a crepe that is not browned, but it kind of looks a little bit more attractive when you do brown it. Now, while that's browning, let me just tell you about what we're going to do with the filling. One of the things we've done in class before is Nutella and strawberries. You know, that's delicious. You could fill it with peanut butter, almond butter. One of the classics I had growing up was filling it with just jelly. So actually today we're going to do a little take on that. We're going to do a little cream cheese and blueberry jam. So let's see how this is. And again, you know, the more you do this, the more practice you can get at it, flipping it. We're getting a little bit of browning here. I've got a little bit of the crepe caught underneath. So I'm just going to try and spread that out a little bit in the pan. And if you have a good batter, all of that will stay together, so you don't have to worry so much. If you don't have a good batter, then when you go to flip it, it may break apart. So we've got a little bit of brown on the surface here. We're going to keep this on this side for a little bit, let that brown up again. You can make a bunch of these ahead of time, and you would put them on a sheet pan with some parchment paper, keep them separated, and then put them in a low temperature oven, maybe 160, 170, and you would be able to then roll them all up if you were serving a big crowd. Or you can actually freeze these, wrap them very tight in plastic wrap, freeze them, take them out, warm them in the oven. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just roll this crepe out on my plate, spread it out a little bit. Let's take this temperature off. The oven, it's not looking the best here, but as I say, sometimes you have to give it more than one shot. We're going to take our cream cheese and spread it out. And of course the heat from the crepe should help melt this down a little bit. We want to spread it throughout the crepe. And then we're going to take a little bit of jelly, put that on top, spreading it out. Okay. And what I'm going to do is fold the edges over, but you can roll it up straight if you want as well. Let's get this out of the way so you can see it. And then I'm just going to take it and roll it. And of course this wouldn't be enough for just one serving, but you know, you would do several for a person, 3 or 5. We're going to finish it with a little bit of powdered sugar. You can have a powdered sugar shaker, or I'm using just a little bit strainer, and we just finish it with a little powdered sugar. Clean off our plate, and voila, a crepe filled with cream cheese and blueberry jam.